They're
Things that you'd never
splendid.
thought of. Yeah, yeah, things that you'd never thought of, and you stand back and you're like, "Oh, look at that."
Yeah, and you laugh your ass off about like, Jesus, where the hell was I at the time?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
So, honestly, like I kind of I read your profile. I kind of got an idea from your website. How would you describe yourself as an artist? Like, if you could just put it all into a ball, like how would you describe it? Because I feel like there's a lot to explore. That's what I'm getting the sense, right? There
Yeah,
is.
definitely,
Okay.
Dave. Yeah, it's a funny thing. I sort of, I suppose, like a lot of artists, just trying to find your voice. You kind of go all over the place. And then I've sort of landed to where I am now. But these days, I started off just doing straight oil painting, and more, I don't know what you'd say,
Your Bob
conventional
Ross
painting.
phase.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Happy accidents. With the brush. Totally unnecessary.
But yeah, no, and now doing mixed media, a lot more expressive, and yeah, I've sort of what unlocked it for me was I've painted all my life, but then during the pandemic, I did an online art course and Milan Art Institute, and that sort of really took my blinkers off and really opened up my I don't know my creative. I don't even know what you'd call
Your
it.
chakra. There
Yeah,
we go. Your
yeah, that's
chakra.
it.
Ooh, I love those words. Ugh.
That's a great word, Dave. That's perfect.
Ugh.
Um, yeah, and then after that, all of this sort of came out. Mixed media and a lot more symbolism and storytelling and all of that sort of stuff. And then sort of going even further, wanting to make it a lot more interactive with, you know,
Nature.
yeah, and even adding elements like hidden keys, like a hidden key and a QR code in each painting, sort of connecting to much deeper meaning again. And yeah.
Damn. Okay. Wow. First of all, like that is attention to detail right there. Cause that's like it's so unnecessary, but yet so creative at the same time and ingenious.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's it, Dave. Because I thought I don't want it to just be observed. I want it to be experienced. And I think by putting a hidden key in there, it's fun, but also it makes you look at the painting because you got to find the key. And then the QR code sort of leading, some of them lead to a poem or a piece of music or, yeah, all sorts of things. So,
Really like fabricating technology. It's like almost of a way of taking something physical and giving it a digital element to it. It's one of my favorite things is those like interactive tattoos. And when I say interactive, I don't mean QR codes. I'm talking about like the ones that like make them look like stickers, you know, or the ones that are really, really good at like pastels. You ever seen those before? Like those very subtle pastel birds, and it looks like just simple brushstrokes that is just genius. You're kind of like manipulating your workspace. Wow. I threw a corporate thing in there, but yeah, workspace. Your work environment, your work element.
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And that's what I think too, because I think, yeah, a lot of paintings are just, yep, you look at it and I don't know, but I just thought, how can I really maximize this experience? How can I really get across, really speak to someone off the canvas as well, you know?
It's honestly like covering all like avenues. Because I've said this so many times, right? When you sit down with an artist, the number one thing you walk away with is what they gave you because you are the best representation for what you're creating. So if you want to engulf or have somebody, shine and be inspired by your work, there's got to be you in your work. And people are like, nah, I could tell. I'm like, you can tell if somebody's copying and
Very
doing
true.
the clickbaity and like, it's great, but where is the ingenuity, in that? Like, uh,
Yeah, no, I I completely agree because yes, and you do see I've been exhibiting internationally. I was doing 4 shows a year before the pandemic, and you get
globally,
to, yeah, yeah.
you mind me asking, where do you live currently?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia. I'm a
I
long way
Okay.
away.
Okay. So you got a bit of a journey if you're going to travel globally, cuz I know that like Europe is at least 20 hours.
Oh, David, that's it. I love Australia, but oh my God, you're in the air for 6 hours and you're still in Australia. Uh, when you're flying, it's like, oh my God, it's such a long way away. It really is.
I mean, Australia is kind of the American outback if you think about it. It's so funny. The amount of Australians I've run into, especially artists, like especially like when you're dealing with the outdoors, there's so much similarities. With like ideas and like nature walks and like just experiencing like just being in those rural areas. It's just bananas and like how many places, and obviously like you've been around the world, like how many places you can go to and you're like, oh my god, I've thought about that too, and they live here. I live all the way there. It's amazing.
That's yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. We have a lot of space down
Oh,
here.
a lot. uh, so you used like traveling the world for your art. Did you use that as mainly like inspiration or sharing the work that you're doing? Like, what exactly was that for you?
Yeah, no, that it started off in London. I got accepted into the London Biennale and it just kind of took off from there. I know.
Oh wow.
So after that happened, the next thing I was contacted by Tokyo. Oh, we want you over here. And then it was Miami and Dubai. And, it just went bananas from there. So the travel was to show my work. But yes, circling back to your initial question about copying and stuff like that, at those shows, these are massive shows and you get to see a lot of work. And I think it's interesting to me how people can feel what you are feeling sometimes when you're painting. Like I've had people say to me, "Oh, these are really happy paintings. You're really happy when you painted these." And I think, "Oh, I'm so surprised you can feel that." Yeah, another work I've seen, I remember looking at a painting someone did, and I think it was even called Depression. But even without looking at the title, I could actually viscerally feel how heavy and dark that painting was, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
There's so many it's interesting that there's so many different elements to paint with. Like I'm not a painter. I'm like an ink and paper kind of person, or like I have an iPad. And with oil painting it's so bananas cuz it's like almost every single person figures out a different formula of how to produce their oil paintings, cuz newsflash takes freaking forever to dry.
Yes.
And it's like a pain in the ass. Like you can't have it like sitting in sunlight. Like there's just like a lot of stuff for me as a dyslexic person. I don't have the time or patience to remember, you know? But it's like one of those elements as an artist where you gotta be good at this. Cause if you're not gonna be good at this, you can't really work well with the medium. You have to be at your best A game with oil painting, like 100%.
Yeah, the advantage of oil in a way though is because it does take ages to dry, you can just wipe it off. God knows I've done that enough times. Uh, the rag with the turds, off she
Redo,
comes. Yeah, oh God, what the
redo.
hell is that? Yeah, the happy accident just didn't work out that time.
Hey, I mean, Bob Ross did it 3 times. I guess everybody can do 3 times too. No, no.
Oh God, but yeah, no, I find Yeah, acrylic you need to work fast with because that dries quick, and once it's on, and, but
Now
the
going
advantage
back,
of that's it, Dave, but the advantage of oil paint that nothing else has is, I find anyway, because of the pigments it's made with, certain tones of it will push something visibly back and certain tones will pull it forward. So you can kind of get this push pull in the painting that you can't get with any other, with acrylics or pencils or
or
it's
even
I've only
charcoal.
yeah, even charcoal. I didn't I only learnt that in the last couple of years. I've stood in front of paintings. I remember at the Met Museum in New York, I was looking at whatever painting it was, and I just was trying to work out how did they get it to look like they did, where you had such depth and things that almost look 3D, and trying to capture on your phone, I just couldn't get it. And yeah, and then when I did this course, that's when that sort of opened up all of that, and I was like, ah, right, now I get it. So yeah, it just changes the way you kind of have to look with your artist eyes. Yeah, the things that you're considering, when I'm painting something, it's more about what shape is this, what tone is this, where is it sitting in the painting, what do I want it to say. So it's kind of really bending your mind a bit,
It's
actually.
got yeah, it's got all of those. It's got all of those pieces. It's like almost where when you when you picture a landscape or almost a memory, you know, it's being able to get all of those elements shaped onto a canvas. You know, a lot of these pieces were made during a period where there was no photography. You literally had to have somebody like physically stand there, or you had to physically sit yourself in front of this shit-filled brook called the River Thames, and paint it. That takes a lot of skill because keep in mind, like things are moving, the day is changing. Like try to find time with a little oil brush in hand, and you're 89 years old, and it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a minute.
Yeah, exactly, Dave. It's interesting you say that because a lot of the masters, like Monet and those ones, they started off their lessons. They had to sit in the Louvre and paint the Dutch masters. That's how they learnt it and stuff like that. But you're right. When you're outside, and outside, just I'm not good doing outside because you're right. There's so many, the wind, the lights changing, or worse, people are watching you, and then you get conscious, and then you just any ounce of talent just abandons you and you just start daubing. um
There was
but
phew. All right, sorry about that. We had a little bit of a internet glitch, maybe intergovernment connections. But anywho, we are back. What were we talking about before? I totally forgot. We were talking about we were talking about oil paintings. You mentioned you were in the Met, and then we were talking about Monet. I think that's where we left
yes,
off.
yes, and then you were mentioning about the guy that's doing the piano TikToks.
Yes, that whenever somebody tries to do a duet with him, he's like, "Hell nah, I'm out." Yes.
Oh, yeah, I can totally relate to that. I remember I was on this little trip in Tuscany, and I was out in the middle of, like, out in the middle of nowhere in Tuscany. It's so beautiful. And I found this little spot outside this, 800-year-old town, and I thought, perfect. And I was painting the view. And then I noticed this man standing a little way behind me watching. I thought, oh no, just please go away. Because it's really hard to sort of, once you're conscious of that person watching you, and oh, geez. And I was struggling with the painting anyway, so that was really helpful then. Having him there.
I, I said, like, I think I said this before, like it's totally okay. Like there's just certain types of artists that are just they just kind of got to be in their zone. They just kind of have to be in their element, you know. And I just think that there's just a different way of how we process how to like making art. Sometimes it's like an idea that pops in the head, or it's just you start and you kind of are going in a different direction. Like I don't think there's any right way. Yeah, there are people that are great with people, you know? Kudos to them. I give him credit, but you can't fit. I think this is a problem too. You can't fit all artists in the same box. Is something you got to learn. It's that everybody's going to work the way that they work.
Yeah, I think so too, Dave. One of my friends, she's an artist and she's got like a little studio space and it's got probably 15 other artists in there and nothing's closed off or anything. I think I don't even know how you do that, honestly. I don't know how you do. And the same with art lessons. I remember years ago, like years and years ago, I was having art lessons and I was, they've got the model, the still life model, the woman, and then there's 10 of us with our easels and and I think too, when you're being taught by somebody that loves to paint but doesn't really like to teach, they're probably supplementing the income. So the patience level with students is minimal. And it was like Jaws to me, like he'd be coming around and I was sort of the last one in the row and it'd make me really nervous because I could see him getting closer and closer. And it was like the dun 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 dun, so he's getting closer and closer like
Mm,
Jaws, and then suddenly he's on you and what the hell is this? Da, 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 and you think, oh, it's just
it you know
yeah. I thought to myself,
it
going,
no on it like it applies to like practically everything, right?
yeah, I think so because when I'm left to my own devices, then if I stuff it up, who cares? Just me, or yeah, you just be easy with yourself and let you the happy accidents. That's how they happen, and because you're not trying to conform, you're not looking at what the others are doing. Oh, I should be doing it that way, or all of that goes away.
All that worry
And
and then
yeah,
anxiety. It's just like it'll and the thing is, even where you're dealing with teachers, I can say for myself, like I'm in an auto tech school, and where you have all these different teachers that are supposedly like in the automotive trade and things, and then you have those artistic teachers. Like I have one currently that is a race car driver, and this guy, like his dad inspired him, and like he's built cars himself, and like he's built engines, and the way he talks about this is like like reading one of the lines from like Galileo. You know, just the way he expresses like the how things and everything's operates, you can hear the passion coming out of this man. Like this is what he loves to do. And is it a common thing? In my personal experience, it's not a common thing when you're dealing with teachers. It's like one in a few, one in a rare that like stand out of the crowd. But they do exist. That is a reality. They do exist out there.
yeah, yeah, you're right, and it's they are few and far between. And when you get someone, because I think you have to the passion for teaching and passing on knowledge and allowing someone, especially if you can recognize the talent in someone, and just giving them the space to find their own style, find their own voice, and encourage and not disparage, not try and push them down to no, it needs to be like this, or their interpretation of what you're doing. I think absolutely, absolutely, they are few and far between, unfortunately. And I think too, the sad part about that is, even if you look at a show like America's Got Talent, or X Factor, or any of those kind of TV shows where someone will come on that actually has talent but gets so castigated by the judges, and I think you're just killing that person's dream in a lot of ways. You don't know where that person could go to and their self-belief, because a lot of it is self-belief too, I think. If you don't think you're any good or whatever, you can have the best talent ever, but if you can't see it or it's been drummed out of you, unfortunately it tends to lie dormant,
I
you
I
know.
hate to say this. I think the worst type of judges are professional celebrity judges. And it's not because like they're not talented. You're talking about exceptionally really talented people. It's where who are the people that see talent? It's the audience. You know,
Exactly.
it's you can have like maybe you could explain this better than I can, but you can go and put your art in any type of art gallery anywhere. It doesn't matter what the curator thinks. What matters is the people walking around, and you could hear them, you know, cussing and like talking a little bit. because you know that they're like getting that inspiration from that. That's kind of like where when you watch shows like America Got Talent, like it loses that. It's like, yeah, you hear the audience like, but it feels so much like you're putting this person in front of like these people that put them on such a high pedestal. Like, it, it's so unrealistic. Come on. You gotta take off your shirt and be there in a freaking Speedo and be hot as shit in order to get those gold flake things, whatever's coming down. Like, I'm being real right now. Ugh, it's so true.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and I think if you think of somebody like Susan Boyle when she won Britain's Got Talent, the opera singer, she didn't fit that mold at all. She didn't I don't think she won it, but at least I were able to see her talent. But yeah, I agree. And in the art world, I think this is the benefit now. Now is the best time to be an artist because you don't need a gallery. You can get on social media and you can attract your tribe, so to speak, and directly speak to your collectors. And that's why I've never been gallery represented because the gallery doesn't get to choose then is your art or do they think you have a future? It doesn't matter what they think because it's just what people think when they look at it. And I know from experience too, even when I've looked at art, when I've purchased things, I'll look at something and think, oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. And I want it. And the person next to me will be like, I hate that. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's so subjective.
No, it's true. It's true because I think all of us have our own tastes and styles. I like I could say for even from myself, like I'm very much the type of person that people know me that like I very much scream vintage. That's just me. That's just my aesthetic, and that's okay. I think like everybody's got their own twang going on, and you being able to appreciate something that's beautiful to you doesn't have to be beautiful to anybody else. Like, who gives a shit? Like, am I dating you? Like, are you like related to me by blood? Because honestly, I don't really want to deal with those people right now. So I'm gonna put you in the it crowd.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Plus, I don't know, just diversity and new things, interesting things. And yeah, you're right, though. If everyone just liked the same thing, I mean, Jesus, imagine how boring and how mundane everything would be, you know?
Here,
Mm.
I have to show you something. So,
Yeah.
this is a grinder, but it's an elephant grinder.
Oh, wow.
Wait, it's got a tray in its butt, and its head
Oh,
comes
how
off.
cool. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this is a great example of, to me, this is freaking adorable. Like, is this necessary? Absolutely not. But it's amazing.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I think too, to surround yourself with things that you love. Prior to my art career taking off, I was working as a makeup artist and I was freelancing. So got to go into a
That's a
bazillion
real
people's homes because I
grunge.
was doing,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Yeah. I know.
that's
I
it.
feel you.
That's it. And so going into people's homes, and it's surprising how most homes, even really wealthy people, didn't really matter. A lot of it's very generic, but every now and then you'd get to go into someone's home and you could really feel their personality and like you were just showing me with your grinder and stuff like that. You get a real sense of them and they're surrounding themselves with stuff that speaks to them
I
and
like
it
weird things.
always
Yes.
yeah, that's it, David. It was always such a joy those jobs because people are not conforming and yeah, surrounding themselves with things that really mean something to you or just delight you.
And honestly, like, to your own point, because to be honest, I keep on looking on your website and it's just, oh, but you kind of showcase that a lot with your work itself. There's like little weird, like, great example. Like, I think there was one, hold on, let me find this. There's what, yes. It was like with little swimmers, like these little,
Oh yes.
yes. And it's like, when you look deeper, it's as if like the people in the back are so far ahead of everybody else in the front. It's like almost like I'm looking at it like I'm like, oh my god, there's so many elements in this piece. It's bananas. And you know what? Honestly, kudos to the weird. I kind of like that. That is something that just it showcases you more than anything else.
Yeah, it's interesting,
I love that
and
I love that piece.
sometimes.
I'm sorry. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Um, yeah, and it's surprising what elements come out on the canvas, even subconsciously, Dave, like you were just pointing out there, that you don't even really realize, and then you look and you think, "Oh, wow, yeah, okay." Yeah, it's just and I think it just comes down to that thing of just relaxing and letting yourself do you do, just see what happens. Yeah, and then that side of you tends to come out. Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy because whenever I love very artistic films. I love like, even TV shows or things that have those elements. And whenever you watch those shows and this it's so on purpose, that scene where you have those characters and you can clearly see the artwork that's on the walls. And I'm one of those people that like, yeah, I'm kind of listening to the characters, but I'm looking at that wall. I want to see what's going on that wall. And you can see an artist like purposely putting each of those pieces there to set the whole like I it just blows my mind away. That's just so ingenious and so in depth. Like it's not only just a scene, like somebody actually like curated the whole thing going on in the back over there. Just whoa.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I've worked on film sets and, yeah, that's exactly right. When you get a really good creative, artistic director and things like that, the attention to detail and, what do we want this character to say and, by what they're wearing, but also the surroundings. And as you said, even thinking right down to the art that's on the wall and what that projects, the image, the image that that projects in terms of what does it say. Yeah, yeah,
And I
absolutely.
mean, like, you've had so many different avenues. It's like I feel like you've explored a lot as an artist. You look, I'm one of those people, like, for example, like I love we were talking about this earlier, like Monet. Monet has a beautiful style. But when you take, like Salvador Dali is a great example, or, Picasso. Yeah, they're crazy pieces, but like I don't know, like they have different time periods in their life where they like made, with Salvador Dali, he had his very like surreal era. The metal, the melting, the chaotic scenes, and I kind of appreciate that because it's like showing a showcase of like growth, and it's like I'm moving on to something else. Like I'm still me, but I want to try something else.
Yeah, and they often advise you against that because, you've gotta have then I've been told so many times, you need to look at a piece and know that it's a Joanna Blair, and if you're not careful, it can be a real trap because, yeah, it stops you exploring other things or trying different techniques or worst of all, you start painting to the market because that's what's selling, and then it's a slippery slope down, I reckon, once that happens because then you're doing it for commercial reasons, not because it's not your soul speaking anymore. Now it's right. I got to pump this out. Um, and you see that with famous people too. You look at somebody like Whitney Houston. Was sort of really pushed into that genre of. And when I watched the documentary on her, I thought, wow, that's so sad. She wasn't really her, but she's so successful, and there's such an entourage behind her, and so many people depending on her performance and the money it creates that she's trapped now. She can't get out
It's
of it.
like the one performer I know for myself that the second a Whitney Houston song comes on, the volume is going up and everybody's just, and you just listen right. And the thing is, because like each of her songs kind of plays a different role in her life. like from the very end to the very beginning. And even like, let's be real, like, even though a lot of her music wasn't hers, and she didn't do a lot, but still, she was fantastic at what she did.
Mm. Oh, she so was. I mean, just such an unbelievable talent, wasn't she? And um, yeah, no, you look at that and you just think, yeah, just what could have been as well. But yeah, you sort of see it across all sorts of things, sport and things like that, where they get legs, so to speak, and become successful, and then you're kind of trapped in that success, or but then there's others that will break out of it and, just be like, bugger it, I'm just gonna do this regardless. And actually an example that I can think of it, I mean, a famous model, Cindy Crawford, when
Oh,
she was really young, she did Playboy and everyone was like, oh, it'll be the end of your career. What are you doing? Da 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 da. And I admire her. She's a really savvy businesswoman as well and still going strong
with
in
that,
in her
with New
late
York,
50s. But
with that New York accent. Oh, I love it.
yeah,
I'm originally
yeah.
from New
And I
York,
just
yeah.
thought, okay, yeah, yeah. And I just sort of look at people like that and I think to have the guts to go against what people that are more successful than she was at the time saying this will be career suicide. And yet it had the opposite effect, really.
It did. It really, people don't realize that, like, even if uh, one song that comes to mind is like, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, which
Yeah, Cindy Lauper.
she didn't originally write that song. That song was given to her. And the
Right.
song was like, kind of creepy originally of how it was sang. And she's like, you know what? This is a girl song. Like, I should do this. And she completely changed it. And like, it's really cool. Like, you have those like mixers on like social media where like they put the two next to each other. And you're like, damn, this lady was really smart. She took something that was weird and creepy to something really cool and fun, which is talent in itself. Like, not everybody could do that. Like, gonna say that right now. Like, not everybody has that skill and capability. Just no.
Yeah, that's it, Dave. I think so too. Yeah, I think Tina Turner did that with one of her early songs too. It was a
Girl,
bit of a
you are
crap song, and then
killing me
she
with
just
the
turned.
legends over here. Like, you're just one after the other. Yeah, Tina Turner though. Oof.
Yeah, wow, what an amazing life
Power
and
horse.
amazing courage. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, really, when you sort of forget that she was still flying in her 60s, yeah, when I look at some of her stage performances, it's hard to remember that she's 65 or something, really killing it, and still the massive voice. And yeah, same thing with her, as an artist, her drive and just willing to just do whatever it takes is really inspiring
I
too.
I got the opportunity to see Blondie live like 2
Ah,
years ago,
yeah,
and what's her name? Debbie
Harry.
Harry. She performed, and I feel like she's in her 80s. And I'm just standing there watching this 80-year-old lady perform like as if she's 34, you know, and it was incredible. Like, some of these talented performers, they just can't quit. That's just it. They just can't quit. They just keep going. And I'm like, you could put down the mic, and they just don't want to. They just don't want to.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's that I can't not do it. Why do you do it? I can't not do it. It's that, isn't it? And I mean, she was 38 when she first hit fame, Debbie Harry. She wasn't super young. And I think that too sort of speaks a lot. It's never too late. I mean, geez, Tina Turner was nearly 50, I think, when she sort of broke away from Ike Turner and went solo. And you just realize what's possible. And I think it comes back to that self belief as well, and just not being afraid to just do what you really want to do. And as you said, Debbie Harry, 80 years old on stage, and how many would have the guts, especially as a woman? It's one thing for Mick Jagger to do it, but as a
Mick
woman to do
Mick
it.
Jagger is he's an alien brought from space. Okay, let's just that man is
It's true.
unreal. All right, like he's older than Paul McCartney. He's older than Paul McCartney. It's alien. That's it. Alien. Done.
Yeah, I know. And, well, and I also think of somebody like Karl Lagerfeld, the designer. Like he died like 6 months after his last. Wait, not even then. I don't think 6 months after his last collection. They just,
Kept going.
yeah, just keep on keeping. Yeah, and I think it's that thing of where when you're so used to tapping into that creative thing, and that is ageless, it never leaves you. And I think it just keeps coming. It's the body that just wears out. The mind keeps thinking of things, and the spirit keeps wanting to, oh, come up with an idea. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's mix the music this way, or let's paint the painting that way, or let's sing the song that way. Or it's still always there. It's just the body is running out of steam to keep up with that inside part of you.
I think what we
That's what it seems to me.
it's so true, and I think what it leads to is there is no such thing as retirement if you're an artist, and that's what you're perceiving. It's be, it's not that you don't want retirement. It's that you're doing something that you love and you're passionate about, and you get to do that every single day. So why do you need to retire? You could obviously like people slow down. You don't have to like be a full working horse, but it leaves the question, do you really need to retire if you're an artist and that's what you're passionate doing, regardless if you're successful or not?
Yeah, that's it. And I think in terms of retirement, because you sort of think, well, then what would I actually do with my day? I love my parents dearly. I've still got them there in their 80s, and they're happy as anything. But it's kind of like watch TV, go to the supermarket on Thursday, go to the RSL on Saturday, which is fine. Like I said, they absolutely love. But I can't imagine that for myself. I can't imagine not having purpose
You need
and not.
excitement.
Yeah, and drive. For me, it's not because Mum says to me, "Oh, just paint because you feel like it." And I think, and then what? Have a room in the back of my house full of paintings that no one's ever seen. You know what I mean? Like to me, it's more. It's that competitive spirit a little bit, not against others. I think about against myself. Like I think to myself, I want to see what I'm really capable of. Like get to the end of my life and think, where did you get to? Did you have the courage to push this and to get back up when you fail, and you have a show that didn't go as well as you expected it to, and you keep going and keep altering course. Like, how can I get better? How can I improve? What's a better idea? You know, um,
It's
for me, it's a bit of that as
it's
well.
so true. I mean, I think of I don't know if you've watched Doctor Who, but there was an episode where he brought Van Gogh to the future to see how people reacted to his work. And he was literally brought to tears because, not only like was he successful, but like he was one of the most successful artists. And it's like it's a lesson of life. It's where his problem was that he didn't have an audience. His problem was he wasn't alive long enough to be around his audience, you know? And there's always that goal of success, like being famous and having all that. Like, I think that's great, but I think your goal is to be the most successful version of an artist you are to yourself, not to anybody else.
Definitely, Dave. I think so too because, yeah, that thing of competing against yourself, not comparing. And this is where sometimes you have to be careful with social media because it's very easy to compare. Oh, how's this person doing? How's that person doing? Da, da, da. And you can go down these rabbit holes that are so bad for you, especially mentally. But yeah, you're right. Like, imagine if Van Gogh had have lived. I mean, he never sold a painting in his lifetime, and yet look where he is. and his paintings rose up not that long after he died. It started to get traction,
I
and
think if you like literally if well he I think it was his brother or brother-in-law or something like that. There was a huge fan and like supported him for a long time. You know, that is an example of we have those people that raise their flag for us in our life, and sometimes we don't notice it, but they are around us. You know, when you look around, like those signs come, and it does it makes you feel good. You're like, oh wow, I didn't really know, and you feel appreciated, which sometimes feels very well needed, even if it feels selfish.
yeah, no, that's it, and I think too that's where the ability now to get your art out into the world, whatever it is, whether you're doing music or your art or write, whatever it is that you're
Cooking,
doing, um,
and we're
cooking,
not going to say
yeah.
what kind of cooking.
but, but yeah, no, and I think um, it's so satisfying when someone else really enjoys what you produced, or it speaks to them on a deeper level and really means something to them. That's what I really love about it, where someone will buy a piece of your work because, oh, it reminds me of this, or you know, it's really uplifting, or it's inspiring for me to look at, or whatever it is. That for me is a huge driver of, that you can put something out in the world that someone else finds value in and hope, or yeah, uplifting.
It shows and sends a true message. I think sometimes a lot of the times when you deal with art, especially like we live in a time where you have like AI, and you have AI art and all this stuff that's coming out. Here's the thing. No matter what type of computer you can feed, there's something about human beings and taking brushes or a digital pen or markers. I don't know, whatever floats your boat, and just making something. I would remember I was watching this clip. It's really cool. They took a microscope and they zoomed into an oil painting, and it's like you can't see this obviously, but you could see the very hairline strokes between like the and it's just so cool, but you can't see that with your naked eye. You can only see that through a microscope.
Yes, you're so right, because when they do, there's a show out here called Fake or Fortune. Yeah, Fake or Fortune, whether a painting is original or not. And they do that. They'll put it under all these scanners and all that.
It's
And you get to, isn't it? Ah, I know. And you get to see the changes of direction, or parts of the painting that just didn't make it to the final bit of it that have been redos. And you're kind of getting a window into someone's thought processes, whoever created that, where they were heading with it. And yeah, I know. It's
it's
fascinating.
the errors and the mistakes and the correct. See, this is something interesting. And I had somebody explain this to me. He said the problem with AI is that it corrects but doesn't autocorrect. We humans, especially when you're like painting and you're in the zone, we correct and then we autocorrect and then we recorrect because they're like, "Mm, okay." But art, like when you're dealing with artificial programming, or you're dealing with just an algorithm, you don't get that same process. So it's weird. Like people are like, "Oh my god!" Like there's gonna be no differentiation, but there kind of is a differentiation. It's hard to find, but it exists.
Yeah, yeah. And you can see that when you stand in front of an original. Like, I think when you look at a print of a painting, and then when you get to stand in front of the original of it, it's a completely different experience. And I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think AI, well, I mean, I've seen some amazing AI pieces done, but yeah, when you that process that goes into
Put it under a microscope.
what a human goes through.
Yeah, put it under a microscope and you'll definitely see the difference.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That human spirit is laid down into it.
I think also, when we were talking about film earlier, a lot of the times where even though we have such great technology, we have CGI and all of these amazing, wonderful stuff, when there isn't physical art attached to it, it loses this almost raw and realistic element. Like there's a movie Wicked. I didn't watch it. Yeah, but the way that they made those physical pieces throughout the film was kind of ingenious. Like it still kind of felt like Wizard of Oz because obviously when the movie came out, they had to use physical pieces. But you have that added mix. It's interesting where you can almost instantaneously know the difference of where there's computer and real pieces, and then your brain is like, oh, okay, this is fine. But immediately it's completely computerized. Your brain is like, something's off. Something's weird. You feel triggered. Wow. I cannot believe I used that word. You feel triggered.
Yeah, and you don't get that when it is completely computer generated. It does feel flat. It hasn't got that, I don't know, kind of not jumping off the screen at you sort of feeling. And it must be hard on the actors. I remember watching a bit of the making of Titanic, and that bit where they hit the iceberg. That's all green screen, and I thought, for them to have to imagine what that would have been like and act around what they can't see because it's just green
And they
screen,
got it
and
wrong.
I mean,
They got it wrong, which is, but I mean, obviously it makes sense because they didn't have, like the technology we have now. They found out that the way that they portrayed the iceberg was too big. So my
oh,
most icebergs, like the one that hit the Titanic, was very small, but most of it was underneath. It was like a hook. So when the ship sailed through, obviously they saw the ice, but they didn't see that how wide and massive it was underneath. So, but you're so right. Like they had to be able to imagine this, and obviously they're going to imagine like this huge, giant. But obviously that's like completely not real. But to us, it makes perfect sense. Like the fact that the ship is sinking, but it's completely light outside. You know what I mean? But again, like it works with our minds to still allow us to feel real and in the sense of the moment.
yes, yes, that's it. And and I think too when you add in layers of sound, which is why I sort of came up with the QR concept for with my paintings, when you can add sound to something, and that in itself gives an emotional response and makes you feel something that you don't get without the sound, I think too. It's yeah, it's interesting once you start layering up all these visual effects with sound effects and all that kind of stuff.
It's
Yeah.
really interesting because when you take like satire, for example, when you take like even certain jokes, like idea comes up like even from Friends, and you put like scary you put scary music behind it, it sounds like you're dealing with psychopaths. But the second you put like a laugh track there, it kind of makes it all kind of fit into place. It's so odd on how like it's the music that's setting the tone of the environment. Like you're feeling scared because they're putting da-da, da-da-da-da, da, you're like, oh god. But if you turn that off, you're just seeing a bunch of people just like sneaking around. You're like, oh, this is weird. What are they doing? Why are they sneaking around? You need that. And I get like, I know we mentioned this before. That idea of that QR code with adding music is just, it's genius because that's kind of how we enjoy media and entertainment for like the longest period of time.
Yeah, that's it, Dave. I'm doing a painting at the moment, and it's of this woman, and she's running, like, she's running toward
I think
theoretically running toward her
I think I've
future,
seen
not
this.
away from it.
Would it be
Probably on
Boundless?
Instagram. Oh, yeah.
Is that it?
Yes, that's it,
Yes.
that's her. Yeah, she's still in progress, but I haven't finished it yet, but yeah, so, the song that I've got that the QR code goes to is Lizzo's song "Good as Hell." Like, like it's really upbeat, it's really energetic, and she's running towards something so much better than what she's leaving behind. She's not running away from anything, and I think you're right. That music can really infuse something with energy, or if I change the music, it could absolutely be she's running away from something terrifying. Yeah, if I change the music, you
It's
totally have
so
that.
interesting because, like, me looking at it right now, raw, it kind of looks like a torn up wedding dress, but at the same time, like, it's covered in flowers. It's almost like this gal, like, ran through either, like, I don't know, a place that grows, I don't know the terms, a place that grows flowers, you know, and just came out violently, like, just torn dress, like, ripped to shreds. I like this. It's like, fuck this, man. I'm gonna try something new. Let me run through these flowers.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
out of
out of
here. I'm
here.
going somewhere much better.
I mean, great title.
Yeah.
Boundless. So true. Was that kind of the idea? I hope I'm like not getting this wrong at all. But that was like my first interpretation just seeing this.
Yeah, no, I always love to hear people's thoughts, Dave. No, absolutely. Yeah, she whipped up her dress and she's on the move. And yeah, whether it's a relationship that just, doesn't serve you anymore and you're sort of, right, I'm done, I'm going. And yep, the future, I always think the future is so much brighter. Like, like eyes forward, keep moving forward. Don't look back. And the flowers, yeah, absolutely. And also they're symbolic. I always sort of have an idea and then I kind of research what flowers will sort of speak to that
I'm
as
gonna
well. So
guess
there's that
you.
layer
I'm
to
gonna
it.
guess you like flowers.
Yes, I am a bit of a gardener, Dave, I must admit. I've got a huge
Hey.
garden.
Uh,
Yeah, I got it in
no,
one.
honestly, I think that's really cool because you really get a way of being able to interpreting these flowers because you see them in real life. And it's cool because, like, some flowers, you look at them and they have like red and then there's yellow, or like there's a hint of lavender and there's like purple. And you're like, ooh, it's like nature's way of
Yeah,
mixing. It's like, it's nature's ombre.
yeah, and the garden's really helpful because sometimes, something will flower and when I really look at it in detail, I think, "Oh, I never would have thought to put those colors together the way Mother Nature does
It's
sometimes."
weird, because like red and yellow, it's like me mustard and ketchup. It's like, no, 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 hear me out, hear me out. It works. And sometimes like it does have like a really, I think one great example is like when you look at a cardinal, and I feel like a lot of the times like what gets wronged is they're not that red.
Yes, that's
It's
true.
like
That's
they're always
true.
this bright, like I lived in New York, I remember like they have this beautiful burnt orange, like red color. And it's really cool. Whenever the sun hits on them, there's like almost like this like sheen that comes off. I don't know how to explain this any other way, but they have the most fascinating like color as a bird. But the thing is that like in real life, they're quite dull unless you have a light like a light shining on them. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta play with the light. I hope I'm making, oh my god, too much weed. Uh you gotta be able to like see where the light goes, because that also changes, there I go. It also changes the colors that you're gonna be using. Right? Okay. There
Yeah,
you go. Yes.
definitely. No, you're spot on, Dave, and I think that's a benefit of painting too, where you can kind of romanticize something that, like you said, you see it in real life and it's like, "Meh," but then you can paint it in such a way that it's like, "Oh, wow, that's stunning," or "That's so beautiful," or yeah, so you got the ability to manipulate and place things and, yeah, harmonize things. create that visual
It
harmony
you
as
but
well.
you started I'm looking at this now, like, you started with all of them being white.
What's that?
Yeah, boundless. Because what I'm looking here is like,
Y-
ooh, okay. So you started with, like, a clean slate, and okay, I'm trying to, like, go through this thought progression. So it's like, you start with a clean slate, and then you figure out which flowers you're gonna make. Okay.
yeah, because originally she was going to be pretty pale, like a softer version, I guess. Yeah, you can see that in the first stages of it, and I was going to kind of go in the duck egg blue because it's quite a calm color. But then as I got going, I thought no, and I started to think about what song I wanted to put it with, and I thought no, she needs more. She's running, she needs a bit more oomph, a bit more energy. So yeah, the brighter colors are starting to
Mm.
make their way in there now.
And I honestly, I think it I think, again, sometimes taking bold leaps and trying different things is sometimes the most healthiest thing that you can do for yourself. The thing that I've realized along the way, it sometimes can come with pain and suffering. Like, we make decisions and they come with consequences, like, especially when you are trying to survive and being an artist. And I've said this so many times, it's like, if you can find a balance so you can enjoy and love your life, what is holding you back? Like, figure out the way to be financially stable and be able to keep yourself sane of mind so you're not like, oh my God, another bill. What the hell am I supposed to do? You know, balance those things out. And it's like, if you're able to do what you love, like, by all means.
Yeah, and I think something that I've realized too, which is what my series that I'm doing at the moment, the series is called When One Door Closes, Another One Opens. And sometimes,
Title.
yeah, something really awful will happen and you think, oh my God, it's devastating. It's laying you flat, or you just think the world is over. It feels like that at the time. And then as you go forward and move through it and you come out the other side of it, and then something really amazing happens, or something really, an opportunity comes up, or a better person comes along, or you think of something that's so much better than a tracks that you've run on before, and it only happened because that awful thing happened. Wouldn't have happened without that. So I really love that concept of, when one door closes, I think to myself, just hold tight because something so much better will come to you. Another door will open and it will be better than what you're walking away from.
There's so many doors that can be open. I mean, it's, you know, the problem is that you want the gold at the end of the rainbow. Guess what? The greedy leprechaun already stole the gold. You know, it's you're going to need to be able to explore and try new things. Because the thing is, if you get yourself stuck in that rut and you get yourself fixated on, it's just gonna lead you to just absolute chaos. And like, you wanna say you wanna be better at what you do, show that you can be better at what you do. And it's like, it's okay to, like, admit when you fuck up, or like you don't do the right things. Like, it's okay. Like, I feel like you don't gotta beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, that's it, Dave. That's it. And that's one of the reasons why I have the hidden key in each painting, because to me it's kind of like unlocking that potential within yourself, and also unlocking, opening other doors, because you're right, there's so many other doors, and just having the courage to just open it, just see what happens. Worst thing can happen is nothing, or it's not what you thought. All right, well, don't do that again. Pivot, open the next door. You just never know. And you're right, that thing of just getting stuck in that one spot, and time goes fast. You can be stuck in that spot for way longer than you realize. And you look back and you think, God, I haven't moved for a decade. I'm still where I was a decade ago, roughly. Or, yeah. So I agree. I think just, yeah, don't be frightened of change. Go and open the doors, see what happens. See what happens. You know, no worse off than where you'd be now, you know,
It's so
and you've
true.
always got
It's
choice.
so true.
You can always pivot. You can always pivot. You never
Pivot.
I always think that, like, you always have choice. You know, okay, that didn't work. All right, what
I
did I
know.
do? Okay, that don't do that again. All right, what's next?
It's just you just gotta keep on going. Before before we wrap up, I want to talk about um with Vogue, because you were mentioned on Vogue's gallery, and specifically that piece. Um, was that your intention, or they just picked that out of random?
No, I chose that
You
one.
did. Why did you choose that one? I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
Oh, I'm just trying to think which piece it was.
It's really
Yeah.
cool. It's a really interesting piece.
Yeah, that's right. It's I'm just remembering the piece now. Yeah, just that idea, like she's got that huge hair up vertical. I think that's the piece, isn't it? That's the one above.
Yes.
Yeah, that idea of just being open to ideas and kind of, because to me it feels like it gets downloaded to you. Sometimes I feel like it's not my idea. It's kind of like a download, and then it's, then you're running with those ideas, and that just is unending. Like this, that
I I, fi-
download from the universe sort
I
of thing.
find it so fascinating because I I've been throwing this idea around with like a bunch of people that I know, which is there's this theory, and I think this is so true. Consciousness is not physically attached. Basically, like kind of like how Wi Fi works, there's these non physical cables that connect from our minds to this other nether or whatever it is. And whenever we get these ideas, they're coming from that other place through those cables. I don't know, but I'm gonna call them cables. They come through the cables, and they get uploaded to your brain. Like they get uploaded to your mind. It's like our consciousness is not in here physically. Like our souls are tethered in from whatever these cables things are. And like looking at this piece, and like that's why like I was looking at that with like Vogue. I'm like, this is really deep. Like I've thought about this, and like you don't really think a lot of people think about this. You just don't.
Yeah, no, I totally am on the same page as you with that, because that's what I think too. I think it's and you need that's when you're relaxed and you're not stressing about things, that's when your cables are wide open. And that's when you're open to receiving things, and when you're not focusing on a problem and just think the solution will come or the idea will come, when you're just at ease. And I think that's why I don't meditate. I should, but
I think we should
I
all
think that's a
meditate.
reason why meditation. um, I sort of do, but not in the traditional way. But I think that's why meditation works so well, because you're turning your mind off to all the noise and just letting yourself get those downloads. And I think so too. I think that's where intuition comes from, where we've lived a bazillion lifetimes. We come into this body, this physical apparatus, like a car. Really, to me, it's like when you're born, you're given state of the art brand new car. It's up to you. You'll never get another car. You got to look after this one. Um, and and I think that's why as you get older, you within yourself, you don't feel older. Your body looks older, but you hear people that say, my first profession was nursing, and you'd get some patients that'd be like, yeah, I feel like I'm 38, they're 75 or something, and that side of you never ages. And yeah, I think it's a fascinating thing, the whole consciousness thing. And even when you die, I mean, when you think of how much energy it takes for cells, we're made up of trillions of them, and the law of not chemistry, what's the other one?
Biology.
So.
What does it start with?
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the law of, not psychology, physiology, no, physics.
Physics.
Sorry.
Laws of
I had the
okay,
seniors moment.
gotcha.
The laws of physics say that energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
It's
It just changes
it's
form, and
infinite.
that's what I think that consciousness is. Yeah, you're in this body. That consciousness is in your physical apparatus, and yeah, you are connected to the ether and to whatever that massive mind in the universe is.
I think also
Um,
one thing that we don't tend to look on is even when people pass, a lot of the times their legend continues with them. You know, we talked about Van Gogh earlier, but in many ways, like they're not physically here, but they still kind of are here. You know,
yes,
it. I think it's just a great example of what it comes down to. It's where we think that this is the only time that we have because we're physically attached. And I think the whole idea of when it comes to artistry and creativity, where these ideas are flowing through, is simply of a way of our souls or our conscious, whatever you want to call it, is connecting to the world around us. Like it's our way of connecting. It's like it's a way of communication. Is that? Yeah, it's a way of communicating with other people around you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you hear of some people when they're so in tune with each other, know what the other person's going to say before they even say it. And I mean, you see it in nature too, where they've discovered like one species will be miles from another species, and yet they've realized they can still communicate. They don't really know how they're doing it. But yeah, I think so too. It is that communication, and it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating.
Oh, I know, and you could. It's like the ultimate rabbit hole of rabbit holes because it just can go on and on and on. It's never ending.
Yeah, that's it.
Um,
That's it.
but
That's it.
honestly, Joanna, I think like overall your work is impeccable. I mean, just from beginning to end. I mean, there's just so many places to go. And first of all, your website is like really detailed out. You're just like, speaking of rabbit holes, you're like, oh, there's another tab. Oh my god, there's another one. Ah, but yeah. First off, what is your website and your socials so these wonderful people can find you?
Oh, thanks so much, Dave. I
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. My website is joannablairartist.com.
Easy.
And yep, and Instagram is Joanna Blair Artist. Yeah, and if people are interested, I've got a newsletter that my email subscribers have early access to all my work before the public. I only release in 4-day releases, so after that release, the originals and the prints. The originals usually sell, but the prints never are released again after that 4-day release. So yes, that's all those details are on my website.
Love it. Love it. And we were talking about earlier, you do have a new piece that's coming out. Um,
Yeah.
any details as to when that is coming out?
Yeah, that'll be our end of this month, end of April, 29th of April they're releasing. So,
Exciting.
yes, got a couple more pieces to finish. So, yeah, getting to the pointy end of it now.
So, in short, you make sure to keep yourself busy.
Definitely, absolutely.
Well, listen, John, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. To anybody out there, if you want to check out more of the podcast, you can find us at Lost in the Groove Pod everywhere and anywhere you listen to podcasts.